Today's dive site is in the heart of England at a place called Stoney Cove, and we're going to be experiencing some of the delights this quarry has to offer, taking you on a journey to experience the varied wildlife and tranquil wrecks. As we enter in from the slipway, we already come across some wonderful wildlife. This here is Clive the crayfish. He's a little bit shy at first, but watch out, he does get a little bit nippy. I'm out of here before he latches onto something soft. But look what we have here. Stoney Cove is famous for its large freshwater pike, and you are always guaranteed to find them in the shallow weedy areas around the side of the lake. They stay perfectly still, waiting for an unsuspecting fish to swim by, and then they pounce with lightning speed with one flick of their enormous tail. So my advice to smaller divers would be to definitely stay away from these fish, otherwise you may find yourself trapped in the jaws of a ferocious pike. If you should find yourself in such a predicament, the customary thing to do is bleed to death. Look at this one here, he thinks I've got dinner written all over me. But luckily he's got second thoughts, I'm much too big of a mouthful for him. The name pike comes from the Greek word pikagora or pikey, meaning scavenger, due to their insatiable appetite to eat absolutely anything. We find ourselves now penetrating an old wreck. This is affectionately named the cockpit. The rest of the aircraft disintegrated on impact, but we are very lucky to have this part of the aircraft still here in Stoney Cove to dive on. It is speculated the day this plane went down was the day the music died. And divers have said they've heard the eerie sounds of La Bamba and Peggy Sue while diving this wreck. I wouldn't like to speculate about Stoney Cove being haunted, but it is a wonderful training facility, boasting 3 training areas: novice, intermediate and expert. Whatever your skill level, however, keep your eyes open because you never know what monsters are lurking in the deep. Life here at Stoney Cove is truly abundant, with couples hooking up for life and having lots of children. Lucky those don't claim benefit. Our journey now takes us to the west end of the lake, around 20 metres in depth, or 65 feet for our backward colonial cousins. Here you'll find a multitude of submerged wrecks to dive upon. We are now looking at a glider, almost fully intact, with amazing possibilities for wreck penetration. There are also many submerged cars to look at. The owner of Stoney Cove dumps them in the lake for an insurance payoff. Now you're an accomplice, that's strictly between you and I. This car is in particularly good shape, and I'm sure with a little bit of polish, it's a fixer-upper. This MGB sports car was assembled in Abingdon on the Thames in England back in the late 60s, very near to the location where Minis are made today. Some say the boot was the perfect size to stash a body in and was a great selling point for both the MGB and the MG Midget, like this partly restored MG Midget in white. Here we have an excellent example of the timeless classic, the Bedford Rascal van. And here we have another classic, the chassis of a Volkswagen camper van. And to be honest, I've been stuck behind worse examples travelling down to Newquay for Run to the Sun. This is the APC, or Armoured Personnel Carrier. This was moved from the 5 to 7 metre novice area to now where it lies in the 20 metre intermediate area. Following the anchor chain to the largest wreck in Stoney Cove, the Steingarth, at a length of 18 metres with a 5 metre beam. She was built in 1910 and scuttled at Stoney Cove in 2000, giving divers an impressive sight as they descend and penetrate her, exploring every nook and cranny, finding fish in her bowels. The Defiant lies on the 20 metre plateau with the Belinda and the Armoured Personnel Carrier. The 3 are resting in a triangular formation, easy to navigate from one to another. In poor visibility, it is easy to miss them or even get lost, so be sure to take a compass with you and take a bearing on the direction you are heading. Primarily used as a tugboat, rumour has it she was brought to England during World War II by 2 men escaping the Nazi regime. The Belinda is a fishing boat used for much of her life around the Canary Islands, up until 1991 when her crew found the naked body of Robert Maxwell. After the police investigation, she sat in dry dock for almost 15 years and in 2009 came to rest at the bottom of Stoney Cove. We now go to the far west end of the lake where you'll find the wooden barge. When diving the west end of the lake, be careful not to kick up the fine silt. The galleon is a collection of 17th century timbers from an old cottage in Northamptonshire formed to look like a galleon ship. This is by far my favourite part of the lake, with stunning drop-offs and lush vegetation, and you are always guaranteed to see large pike and perch in this southeast corner of the lake. After enjoying the delights of the galleon, you can take a leisurely swim back on the east wall and enjoy some of the sights to be seen. For example, old mining equipment which was left behind when Stoney Cove was a working quarry, like this crane drum. You will also find this blockhouse on the east wall, situated at about 4 meters of depth. A swim through can often reveal a surprise in the form of a pike lying in ambush, so don't be surprised to see a flash of green race past you. And be sure to look out for the resident gnome guarding this structure. Continuing east, following the wall on our right hand side, if we dive down to 20 meters, we'll find the Wessex helicopter, an XT-768 HU-5. This helicopter, purchased from the RAF, had less than 700 hours flying time. It was stripped for parts during the Gulf War and continues to be stripped by over-eager divers wanting to collect a souvenir from Stoney Cove. Legend has it, however, that those who take a souvenir from the Wessex will be cursed men and feel inadequate until that souvenir is returned back to the murky depths. The top of the Wessex is situated at about 18 meters, which makes a perfect third or fourth open water dive for students. Ascending up the wall from the Wessex will bring you to the 5 to 7 meter plateau again, and here you will find Captain Nemo's Nautilus. No sign of Ishmael, however. Keeping the wall on your right hand side, you work your way around to the northeast side of the lake, parallel with the car park. There you can choose from numerous different exits. Which now brings us to the end of this journey. Are you still awake? Yep, I think so. I thank you for joining me on this epic journey of Stoney Cove, and remember, dive safe.